This is David with Corel Trainer.
This is Cassie Green from Apparelist.
This is Gordon and Firemark from the Entertainment Law Update.
And you're listening to
Two Regular Guys podcast.
Hosted by Terry Combs RG, Regular Guy, and Aaron Montgomery.
The place to be for industry news.
the best dad jokes on earth, along with relevant topics to apparel decorating.
So pass it away.
All right. Well, welcome into the show. It is Friday, October 27th, 2023. I'm Terry Combs, and you can find me at terrycombs.com.
And I'm Aaron Montgomery, and you can find me over at oursuccessgroup.com. And my mission is to inspire people to fall in love with their businesses. And, that's kind of a little bit what we do here on Two Regular Guys, too. So
What we do.
Yeah. And I was just listening into that intro there, and Cassie is so right. It is the best dad jokes on the planet, right?
In fact, we're going to double up today.
They're so good. We're going to bring you two today. That's awesome. Speaking of what we're bringing you today, we're really excited to have Jed Seifert back from Steaks Manufacturing. He's going to be joining us again. He graciously moved around. We had him scheduled earlier, and then we needed to move him, and all worked out for the best. So we've got him joining us today. He joined us about a year ago now on another podcast episode, and Eric's got it right there below for anybody that's tuned in live right now. But we talked about disability inclusion, and he talked about a kind of an initiative that he's been spearheading and about inclusion. And so it's a really wonderful way to find employees and to give back. And so today we would kind of want to get an update on that, Terry, and just kind of see how that's progressing, but just also talk to him about Steaks Manufacturing and how they've built their business, and maybe a little state of the industry report from Jed. He's a decorator who's been, we saw him at Printing United, saw him at Impressions Expo and all that other stuff. So he's out there, he's got his finger on the pulse as well. And so we're excited to have Jed back today, Terry.
Exactly. I feel like we're running into Jed like every other week here lately, and as well as Cassie,
which is awesome, by the way.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Yes, please.
We also want to make sure everybody stays to the very end and get your helping of secret sauce. This week, Eric will be sharing the sauce from a bunker somewhere in New Mexico. So today it's all about what we can do with dead stock, both of the decorated and undecorated variety. So stay tuned with for some tips to bring new life to your dead samples.
Yes, that's awesome. I'm looking forward to the secret sauce as well. So going to be a great show today. And speaking of great shows, Cassie always makes it a great show by kicking us off with the news. And so we appreciate her and all of the work that she does to continue to make sure the industry stays abreast of everything going on over there at Apparelist. And in fact, I think she's even got some cool stuff to share about Apparelist. So without further ado, are you ready, Terry? Should we bring Cassie in here?
Let's bring Cassie in. I'd love to hear the news.
Good morning, you guys. Yes, always a pleasure running into all of you as well. Y'all are some of my favorite people, so just going to throw that out there. Headlines this morning. First one, GSG welcomes next generation of leadership. So if you missed this news because you were at Expo last week, GSG announced the next chapter of its history as Jared Granberry assumes the leadership role of president, representing the third generation of the family. Mark Granberry will assume the role of CEO and still stay very involved with the company. So as it looks to the future, Jared will carry this legacy and uphold the values that have defined the company's success. Joining Jared in this transition are Brandon Granberry and Mallory Varner, Brandon has been named Executive Vice President and Mallory Vice President of Brand Development. And CEO Mark Granberry did comment on this, of course. He says, "I'm not only very proud of my children, Jared, Brandon, and Mallory, and their commitment to making GSG a top supplier to the graphic arts industry, but also their passion and dedication to the people that contribute to GSG." So big congratulations to everybody over there. I'm sure it will continue to be a great company, and looking forward to seeing what their future looks like. Second headline I have for everybody today, Printing United Expo report, State of Decorated Apparel Industry. I wanted to share this because I think it's really important to talk about numbers and data that we collect from our survey that we conduct. So on the first day of Printing United Expo last week in Atlanta, Andy Paparazzi, the chief economist for Printing United Alliance, took a deep dive into the fall 2023 State of the Decorated Apparel survey numbers so far. So to be clear, the survey is still live and open. This survey aims to shed light on what's happening for apparel decorators and their businesses. It asks about everything from services decorators offer to how they've diversified and their main concerns going to 2024. So speaking on that topic of diversification, Andy did kick off the session with one major takeaway, and that's more than half of respondents so far plan to improve profitability in 2024 through diversification. That could look like developing new markets, products, services, adding decoration methods, and expanding into e-commerce capabilities. So if you have not participated in that survey, please do. The link will take you to the article, which has the survey link. Again, it's really important to keep up on what's going around in the industry as well as what your peers are up to. My third headline today, Inktovo acquires SignTracker. So speaking of diversification, Inktovo announced its acquisition of SignTracker, a comprehensive management software platform for sign shops. The strategic acquisition of SignTracker is a significant milestone for Inktovo, says the company, as it expands its suite of solutions, catering specifically to the needs of the sign industry. So as part of the acquisition, Inktovo will focus on enhancing SignTracker's features and functionalities, leveraging its expertise in software development and design. The collaboration will enable Inktovo to drive innovation and continually improve the user experience for sign shop owners. Say sign shop owners 10 times fast, and operators. So again, seeing a lot of diversification in the industry. One little thing I wanted to point out to all of you regulators, and Aaron kind of alluded to this, Apparelist website got sort of a facelift. Still same great content, just organized in a better way to help the user experience, to really engage you in the top content that we feel is most important for you to see. So make sure you check it out, give us some feedback. So new look to our website, also new look to our newsletter. So if you've been a subscriber for a while, you'll notice some little subtle differences, but we think that all of you will really enjoy it. That's my shameless plug for today. Back to you guys.
Aaron, Inktovo came from Inksoft and Printavo. Now they have SignTracker. So are they going to continue to combine Inktovo Tracker?
Inktovo Tracker. There you go. You've just solved it for them, Terry. You can send them your consulting bill right away.
Or it's just part of Sign, Synctavo.
Ooh, I think
that doesn't sound, that's not it.
No. All right. Well, now you have to go back to the drawing board, Terry. So awesome. Well, really good stuff. And thank you so much, Cassie. And I love all of the news there as far as the sharing that she did. But really, the state of decorated apparel industry also really stood out, right? I love what she said, right? It's so important for us to not just kind of consume, but also participate and engage. And you can do that by going and filling out that survey. I'm glad that it's still open. All right. Well, Terry, we've got some people already checking in this morning here early on. We had Kingsbury Crafts and good morning to everyone. And then we've got Chuck, good morning, checking in as well. And Mr. David Gross from Conde Systems checking in as well. So he says, hey, guys. So appreciate everybody tuning in. Let us know how everything is going for you, and make sure that you get in and engage with us. What questions you're going to have for Jed and for us and all that kind of fun stuff. So really looking forward to engaging with all of you guys regulators and doing that today, Terry. So
absolutely.
All right, what's next here? Where do you want to? Well,
we do you want to do my dad joke, and then we'll
let's do that. I mean, we can't claim to have the best dad jokes on the planet and not get to them right away.
And be topical. I have a Halloween dad joke. So.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, let's do it, Eric. Whenever you're ready.
All right, Aaron. There's only one thing that scares me on Halloween.
Which is?
Exactly. For our podcast listeners, Eric has which is equals witches up on the screen. I'm proud of that one.
The funny part was I'd read that earlier on in the week in the outline, and I'm like, okay, I don't really get it. And then you sent me a reminder and said, hey, you're part of this today, right? You know that. And I looked at, now I get it.
I get it. All right. Well, we have another dad joke coming up here in just a minute from Jed. But before we dive in, we want to thank everybody for checking out the Two Regular Guys podcast. We need your voices still. We want to do some more intros. So we would love to have all the regulators to participate in the show intros. Go to decorators.inc./intro and just read a few sentences, and you can be a part of the show. So don't be left out. We are also looking for new guests all the time. So if you or anyone you know would like to join us, go to calendly.com/2 regular guys to book a future episode, or email info@tworegularguys.com. And if you're listening to the podcast version of the show and didn't get the joke, go and check it out on Facebook. We would appreciate you sharing the Two Regular Guys podcast with all of your industry friends so they can become regulators too. Please give us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Podcast, YouTube Podcast, wherever you do your podcast listening. We are there. And if you're watching us live right now, please join in with your comments and questions of a very topical subject today, basically employees. So join in, and we would love to have your comments and questions.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to engaging with everybody and talking to Jed here in just a moment. So in fact, I think we're ready here. We ready to bring Jed in here, Terry?
Let's. Mainly because I can't wait to hear his dad joke.
Okay. All right. We don't need to hit the little video again, but let's bring Jed in, and we've set him up for success, hopefully here. Jed, welcome in. So we're just going to dive right into this. You told us you had a dad joke, so you're up. Go for it.
I got to tell you, Terry, you really knocked it out of the park with the Halloween themed joke. I haven't heard that one either. I consider myself a dad joke connoisseur.
Exactly.
And I brought you guys a dad joke last time I was on the show because I love it, as a father of three. So today I decided, you know what, while there are dad jokes, my kids love them. So I went to my two boys. I've got a 6-year-old and 9-year-old boy. And I asked them, which of the dad jokes should I be telling on the show today? And they gave me this one. So here we go.
Yes.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Interrupting cow.
Interrupting cow.
That's a good one.
Man, I love that. And just, going to the kids is the way to go. I'll be honest with you. The ones that I've brought mainly come from my 12-year-old. So that's so good. All right, Jed. Well, welcome in again. Thank you for participating in making us the best dad jokes on the planet.
Thanks for having me. Long time no see. I feel like it was a whole, week.
Yes,
exactly.
Something like that, right? Yeah. Yeah. So you're probably going, man, do I have to hang out with these guys again? But no, we're gonna have fun. All right. So I want to dive into this first because I mentioned it earlier. You joined us back in November of 2022 here, and you kind of been working on this initiative, inclusion initiative, kind of seeing if it would take hold of this industry. And I remember you specifically saying, hey, we think we can build something here in this industry, and then maybe that can become a model that could go outside of the industry as well too. So I know many of the people might have met you back then, but for any of our listeners, just tell us a little bit about you and your passion for this subject. And we got a whole bunch of different subjects to cover, but let's start there.
Sure. It'll be redundant for the people who already heard, but my name is Jed Seifert. I'm one of the co-founders of Stakes Manufacturing. We are one of the largest print-on-demand providers in the country. We're a B2B print-on-demand provider, so we work with large enterprise companies as well as aggregators to provide direct-to-consumer e-commerce fulfillment, as well as quick-turn, low-minimum wholesale. We are an incredibly diverse organization. We're very proud of it. My brother has Fragile X, which is the leading known genetic cause of autism. Him getting a job at the Securities Exchange Commission for the federal government changed his life 24 years ago. Gave him the ability to move out of my parents' house, create his own financial independence, happiness, purpose, work, friends, everything we all deserve and a lot of us take for granted. So when we started Stakes Manufacturing, our number one initiative was to make sure that we were providing opportunities for folks with disabilities in our business. Because all too often, when you hear about diversity and inclusion, it's race, religion, sexual orientation, but disabilities just kind of gets left out in the dark. And we're not talking about charity here. We're talking about some of our best employees. It's the largest minority in the country, yet it has an 80% unemployment rate. And our top warehouse employee out of 40 is a gentleman with autism based off of speed and accuracy alone. Our top shipper out of about 35 is a gentleman with autism as well, based off of speed and accuracy alone. Both of them also have perfect attendance on the year. So what we wanted to do is really create life-changing opportunities for individuals within our organization, just like my brother was given. But we wanted to go above and beyond that. We wanted to really go outside of the four walls of our building and impact change across the entire print industry, because I do a lot of volunteering outside of my daily grind, and I spend a lot of time working with organizations with disability inclusion, and work with everybody from Hilton to Embassy Suites to NIH to CVS and Walgreens. But what I found was in my work there was a shortage of printers that were actually being inclusive. And that's not to say there's none, because there's some fantastic ones like Spectrum Designs up in New Jersey. That's a nonprofit dedicated to autism. And then, what I realized was, this is really a perfect fit, because people with disabilities really excel in any position has repetition, not just low skilled repetition, but also high skilled repetition, because there's a whole spectrum of disabilities, right? I know COOs that have autism, right? So it's not just like have to be menial work. It's about finding the right work for the right person and really cultivating their strengths and abilities and kind of ignoring or mitigating their disabilities or weaknesses. And, every department in our facility, we have folks with developmental disabilities from operators of $750,000 corn-eat equipment to warehouse folks to shippers to water spiders, which are just the folks that are running the stuff all over the facility, to receiving, all of that. And so what we wanted to do was kind of educate the print industry and break down preconceived notions and stigmas about what people with disabilities can and can't do, and also say, hey, we're in a time where it's extraordinarily difficult to hire and retain people, and there's a tremendous part of the population that is eager and ready to go to work and will be some of your best employees. And not only will they be some of your best employees, but they'll have a dramatic impact on the culture of your business and create and help your other employees become better employees. So, I've been doing speaking engagements at pretty much every print show over the last couple of years. And then I also work with a lot of organizations. I've helped Corny set up an inclusion program. I helped Rock set up an inclusion program. I just made an introduction to M&R to help them set it up. And also working with a lot of local screen printers have reached out and really helping them understand the model of disability inclusion employment service providers, where they're all over the country. They'll help you find employees, interview them, onboard them, train them, and then even train your managers at zero cost to the employer. So, where else can you find a free hiring agency? And really also that's the support that you have. So, all those folks who say, hey, well, I'm not equipped to hiring people with disabilities. My managers don't. You don't have to worry about that as much. Like, just get connected with one of these organizations, and I'm happy to help you find one of those organizations in your local area, and get the process started. And I think you'll see the same pretty incredible impacts across the board on your organization and the individuals. And there's really not much more that could be fulfilling than helping to change people's lives in your daily life. And as printers, we don't get those same opportunities as, doctors or teachers to really try to feel like we're changing lives on a daily basis. So it really creates a much more fulfilling atmosphere. And yeah, it's been wonderful to see the print industry embrace it. You guys have embraced it. You had Cassie on giving the news to start. I absolutely adore her. She was one of the first people to jump on board to help us get out our message, and did a 3-part web series, on our business. So And I appreciate you guys having me back on to kind of keep championing the mission and trying to impact change across the print industry so that, we can go from being behind the times to a trailblazer that's leading other industries on how they can make those same changes.
Jed, I saw you on a panel once, and somebody was asking, what's the challenge, and one of the people on the panel, I won't say who, said, "Oh, just finding and retaining employees," and everybody on the panel was nodding in agreement except for you, and you're like, "There are lots of employees. Let me tell you," and I will never forget that. I thought that was awesome. So. For most of us, this is kind of a unique approach to hiring and managing employees that like you do at Stakes. How is the process going at this point? I mean, I think 5 stars, but tell us how your process is going there at your business.
It's fantastic. At this point, I think we're roughly 250 employees. Over 10% of our staff at this point has developmental and intellectual disabilities. If you look at performance metrics across our business, they're some of our highest ranking employees in the business. We have seen our retention rate improve, not only because turnover's down, our disabled employees are some of our most tenured employees, but it also helps retain other employees. I mean, I've had multiple conversations where employees have come to me and said, "Hey, you know what? I could have made $1 more an hour working over at Amazon, but I work here because I come to work and I feel like I'm making an impact every day. And I like the atmosphere." And again, it brought the whole company closer together, man. It taught everybody empathy. It created a more positive culture, a more collaborative culture. And I'm not just talking about work, somebody without disabilities working with somebody with disabilities. I'm talking about just the entire business. Like, it just brings everybody together and gives us a purpose beyond just the cotton and ink. And it's been a really beautiful thing. And we also have we partnered with the local county school system. So we have a school to work transition program as well. Wow. So we have 12 interns a semester from high school. They get high school credit. They come 5 days a week, 2 hours a day. They get an on-site job mentor. And the goal is to help them become independent workers by the end of the semester. Some of them happen very quickly. And then as they transition out of high school, if it's a good fit for them and a good fit for us, then they get opportunity for full-time employment at our organization. And the gentleman who I mentioned, who's our top warehouse employee every single month this year by the metrics with a perfect attendance, is a graduate from that program. So, wow. We've continued to expand upon what we're doing. We're working with more local disability employment service providers in our area, because no different than any other hiring agency, we want multiple so that we can, find different spots and get different talent and bring it in. I mean, for us, we just want to hire the best people. And if you're not hiring people with disabilities, then you're not hiring the best people, because you've left out a huge portion of the population that can have an impact on your business. And, we also, another service that's provided by, your state vocational rehabilitation offices, which is a great source to find these local providers. It's also a great source. A lot of them even provide these services, but they'll come do free training. So we did a training a couple months ago, and about 75 of our employees showed up. Part of it was, etiquette of working with people with disabilities. Like, hey, if there's somebody in a wheelchair, they don't want you to lean down to talk to them. They want you to stand up and talk to them just like anybody else. But a lot of it was also to kind of break down those preconceived notions and stigmas. So, for example, one of the exercises was, here's a whole bunch of jobs in our building, and here's a whole bunch of disabilities. What's the one that's least likely to be able to do these jobs? And unanimously, everybody was a blind forklift driver. And the guy from the vocational rehabilitation office was like, "Well, let me tell you, I got a guy who's legally blind because he can only see, has 10% of his vision, no peripheral." And what they were able to do was attach, kind of like your rear view mirror on your car, mirrors around the forklift to give him a full 360 view of everything, even from just looking at this. And he got certified. And it's not, that's so my company's people's minds were just blown, like, oh my God, anything is possible. Yeah. But why I bring this up was the most beautiful moment of it was 2 different employees stood up and told everybody in the room that they had a disability that they had never declared, never told us, and had never admitted to anybody ever professionally out of fear of being judged or not getting a job. So This is also about creating a welcoming culture of acceptance of all people for who they are, not even just disabilities.
Yeah.
Just, hey, be who you are. We're going to embrace it and set you up to be successful. So that was a really, really cool moment.
Wow. Wow. I love that, this whole idea of you said the culture, right? It does take a commitment to being inclusive and making that part of your culture. But the powerful, the results, the fruits of that effort to build that culture are clearly there. I mean, the stories you just told, there was a couple of moments where, like, man, I'm actually feeling a little emotional right now. So that means that it really is hitting a chord for me. And I love that. So thank you for sharing all that. And thanks for everything that you're doing there. And so I want to, you talked about already where you've worked with The Rock, and then you talked to M&R and Cornette. And so obviously you're starting to see some traction, right? Which is awesome. That was the whole hope, I think, when we first talked to you. And honestly, we were introduced to you through Cassie. So she's definitely the responsible party here. You had these big grand visions of it. And I think that's what I fell in love with so much, is that it's awesome trying to do this, but how can we continue to make that even bigger? So what are you seeing outside of what you mentioned there? Is there any other noticeable developments? Is this something where you're starting to see, okay, now we can maybe look at another industry or anything like that? Like, where are you at with all that?
Yeah, I mean, I think from an industry standpoint, we're always looking at what other industries can we get more involved. We work in the promotional product industry, so we've made some introductions to Halo and a couple other organizations.
Nice.
Interested in potential disability inclusion. Also even bigger than that, outside of even industry specific, we are on Capitol Hill lobbying for legislative change, because there's a lot of archaic laws currently that hinder folks with disabilities from even working to their full potential. There's laws that basically say, hey, if you're getting federal aid for medical and different things that you need, if you make more than X amount of dollars, you lose that. But making more than X amount of that dollars threshold is not a livable wage.
Yeah,
you're telling people you're going to steal their benefits. So you have a huge part of the disabled population that's only even able to work part-time, because if they work full-time, they're going to lose their benefits. Wow. There's also archaic policies that say, hey, if this person has benefits and then they get married to this person, they go from each having two people's benefits to only 1.5 benefits, which doesn't make any sense, right? So there's also policies that say, this one is one of the biggest kickers. If an individual with disabilities has more than $2,000 in their checking account, $2,000, then they will lose their federal benefits. And when that $2,000 was set before, like, I think it was back when I was born over 40 years ago. So it's taken no account of inflation or anything. So you got folks that are already dealing with disabilities and challenges, and they want to be a part of, the American dream themselves and grab themselves from the bootstraps. They want to, get jobs, gain financial independence. And there's all these policies and legislations that are working against them. So we're working with some really wonderful organizations. I work with the CEO Commission, the National Down Syndrome Society, National Fragile X Foundation, and there's tons more. Those are just a few that I'm most intimate with. And we're really, we're talking to senators and congressmen regularly. There's actually a bill that's coming up onto the Hill currently that's to address one of these issues. So we're kind of dealing with this in all aspects. We're dealing it from a policy standpoint. We're dealing it from an education to the corporation standpoint. But we also got to educate the families of the folks with disabilities, because a lot of them don't know these services are out there, and a lot of them maybe even putting their child or sibling into a box of what they can and can't do, and not letting them realize their full potential. So it's an across the board effort to kind of make a true change, to create an inclusive workforce. And I'm really proud, because when my brother was looking for a job, services weren't like this weren't out there. I mean, they were few and far between, and you didn't have as many people making as much noise to impact change. So I think we're still a long way away from getting there, but it is definitely the momentum is real, and is pretty cool to see.
Yeah. Well, when you talked about the policy stuff there, Jed, too, Terry and I had a chance to talk to Mark Subers from Printing United last week, and they were talking about the fact that, you know, the size of our industry and being able to bring people under that one roof together also does help with being able to have a little more power on the hill, so to speak. So yeah, that's interesting to me. You know, how can we make those connections? Hopefully they would participate. So
yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. I'm preaching the same thing in this industry. I even think the disability folks are too siloed, right? And, you know, coming together, we can be a lot louder than each of us individually. And most of us are, whether you're from an Autism Speaks or a National Fragile X Foundation, 90% of what we're pushing on the Hill outside of funding for our organization is the same policy. So, you know, it's about coming together, and we're doing the same thing in the print industry. So we've got, you know, Unite Together is another organization that I sit on the board of directors, and we're working to try to unite the print industry for an inclusive, safe space for everybody, and making it more welcoming. And that's not just with folks with disabilities. That's really all diversity and inclusion, right? So, and it's great to see, you know, as you said, the more people that come together with a shared vision of the future that we want for not only us but for our children, the more powerful our voices are. Because at the end of the day, on Capitol Hill, I don't mean to be a cynic, but it really just depends on how many voters are upset until changes actually change.
Yeah. Unfortunately, cynic or not, it's the truth.
Exactly right. So, Jed, you've alluded to this already, but for our listeners, no matter what size business, small business, medium, large, what do they do on Monday if they want to participate in a plan like this?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that first and foremost, you don't have to have an open job yet. You don't have to have a strategy. And most importantly, you don't need to know what position you're going to put people in. So, for example, I introduced a local disability employment service provider to a screen printer who thought that they were going to have somebody get hired just to clean screens, right? But what actually happened was, it turned out the entry-level position that made most sense to fill with somebody with disabilities was data entry. And you might think to yourself, oh, sorry, I got my dog barking in the back.
That's all right.
You might think to yourself, oh, data entry, that wouldn't be what I expected. But you know what? Again, there's all different abilities, there's all different capabilities, and data entry is actually a huge position for folks with disabilities. And I always say that people with disabilities also often have superpowers. So, for example, you know, folks with autism are often very detail oriented, right? So data entry is actually a perfect position, right? Because it's super detail oriented and whatnot. But you walk in Monday, you decide, hey, I want to explore this. You don't have to be committed to doing it. And what I would do is, first, I would reach out to your state vocational rehabilitation office, which will either connect you with a local service provider, or they can actually work with you. There's a couple other organizations that you can also reach out to. There's csavr.org. They're kind of like the aggregator of all the vocational rehabilitation offices. There's apse.org. They're the kind of like the Print United of disability service providers, so the trade union of them. And really just think about it no different than you would think about finding any other hiring agency. The only difference being is they're not going to take a 30% cut. It's all the service is going to be free to you. And then just open up the conversation. And then the way the process works is they'll typically come out to your facility. They'll go through all of the entry-level positions in your organization, whether there's open positions for them or not, right? They'll just go through them all with you. And then they'll put together a plan. And it's about finding the right person for the right job. And again, if you don't have any open positions, that's okay. But then you'll have this agency that's ready. You'll be acquainted. You'll have understanding. And then it depends on the people you hire, right? Because some folks it's not a one size fits all. Some folks you hire are going to be part-time. Sometimes folks you hire are going to be full-time. Some folks with disabilities need full-time support, where those agencies will place somebody in your building full-time to work hand in hand, side by side with these folks. Other folks will just, need a check-in from their job coach every once in a while. And other folks won't even need any folks. I mean, really for us, we've got a number of folks with disabilities working with us simply because we put in our ads that we hire people of all abilities, and they didn't come through any agencies, and they don't need any support. So, and then I also say, be clear of your intentions with your organization, right? Like, I believe in transparency and communication. Like, hey, guys, we want to be in more inclusive business. So this is what we're going to do. Your employees will respect you for it. They'll be on board. There won't be any confusion. And also understand, we're talking about holding people to the same standards too, right? So you can't just be doing it for the warm and fuzzies, because then when you hit hard times, it's going to be short-lived and it's going to be the first thing that gets cut, right? So, I had an employee that fell asleep a couple times on the job, at her desk, and I said, "What's going on?" They're like, "Oh, well, she only does it for like 10 minutes a day." And I was like, "Do you let any other employee do it?" And they're like, "No." I was like, "Well, don't let her," right? Also, if it's not a good fit, a lot of people think it has to be perfect. If it's not a good fit to start, that's okay. Tell the agency, "Hey, this person isn't a good fit," and get another one. None of us bat 1,000 hiring. Shit, I'd be happy to bat even 500 with hiring. So I think that's super important. And then leverage your job coaches, right? Because that's what they're there for. So for example, one of the gentlemen working for us was turning around signs during their break. Just a nervous tick, I guess. So we talked to the job coach, and then it stopped. The job coach will also, not only do they help work with the employee, but the job coach also has connections to the person's family, who can also help kind of reiterate the message and make sure things get changed, which I'm never going to call the person's family. But I just call the job coach. How would you handle the situation? And some of the job coaches might even be on site already, right? So, and don't worry about making mistakes. Guys, I've been in the disabled community my whole life through Special Olympics and really involved with my brother's side. And, I didn't know until 4 years ago when I hired my first deaf employee that they don't like being called hearing impaired. I just didn't know, right? So like, don't be afraid to make those mistakes, because I think that's another reason why people don't hire folks with disabilities, because oh, well, what if we screw up and, I don't want to be ostracized because I did something wrong. The reality is, all you got to do is try. If you're trying to make a difference and trying to do good, that's all that matters. And the only way we learn anything in life is falling on our face and doing things wrong, right? So this shouldn't be any different.
That's awesome. Wow.
And the last thing I'll leave you with on that note is that I think a lot of people worry about the accommodation side too, right? Well, am I going to have to make all these accommodations that are costly? I'm a for-profit business, and I'm never going to do anything that's going to change that our business needs to be for-profit. Over 80% of accommodations made for people with disabilities cost the company $0, right? Accommodations can be as simple as, a lot of our training materials were all written to read. Well, we made it more visual with pictures, right? But we also look at accommodations and go, we should be making accommodations to everybody, right? So, for example, an accommodation can be as simple as, hey, this is a short employee. They're having trouble using this piece of equipment. We're going to give them a pallet to stand on so that they don't get back problems, right? Or, hey, this mom, had something change with her childcare and, she needs to leave an hour early. Well, let's have her come in an hour earlier so that she can leave an hour later, right? Yeah. Accommodations don't have to be like, oh my God, it's going to cost, I'm going to have to put in ramps all over the place and do this, that, and the other. It's really just about kind of tailoring your training to people and setting people up for success, which you should be doing for all employees.
Yeah.
And again, your managers are going to get better because of that, right? They're going to better know how they can work with all employees. So, and with folks with disabilities, you might have a little bit more upfront training. Like, let's say, hey, I could train somebody else to do this in an hour. This person takes me 2 days, but the turnover rate is going to be so much lower. So that position that you're refilling every 6 to 9 months, that person's going to stay with you for a long time. So it easily pays dividends in the long haul. And once they get in, again, some of your top performing employees.
Wow. It's amazing how simple it is. Just it takes the commitment, right? And like you said, just start with exploring it. So that's wow. What good information there. Well, okay. So from an individual standpoint, right, we have a path. I think we've got a really good game plan there. But as an industry, how can we do more, right? Were there some hopes and expectations when you kind of started in this industry sharing this stuff that maybe haven't come to fruition yet that you thought might have? You know, who do we need to call out? Who do we need to get on the phone right now and say, hey, you need to do more? No, I'm not looking for specifics like that, but in general, yeah.
Guys, you're doing it right now. Like, pat yourselves on the back. I mean, this is the second time you've helped champion this mission. You guys have been nothing but supportive. I think we just need to keep talking about it and keep impacting change. And I think just, you know, people need to tell their stories more. You know, it's not just me. It's not just Spectrum Designs. You know, Ryanette's had people for 10 plus years with disabilities working. I think we just need to spotlight the success stories to kind of dismiss the stigmas and the preconceived notions. You know, I think that the Print United Alliance has been incredibly supportive since the beginning. I think that we've got some other stuff that's cooking that we're working on with them. Nice. That I don't mean to tease it, but I'll be back on another episode to actually talk about where I think the kind of next step is of, you know, cool. How we can basically create a better education system for printers so that they don't even have to reach out to me or these organizations, but they have almost like a playbook on how to go from step A to B to C to become an inclusive organization and realize all the benefits of a disability inclusion. So, you know, I think just if you're at an organization, whether it's your organization or not, talk to your head of HR, ask them, hey, have we considered hiring people with disabilities? Because every one of them is probably struggling to hire and retain people, right? Yeah, right. And kind of just helping guide people. That the more people that just ask the questions and explore it, the better. And again, you can start simple with a part-time gig, and it doesn't have to be this huge commitment. And people can find me. So I'm Jed Seifert, Stakes Manufacturing. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can reach out to me at any point. And I will be happy to take my personal time to find a local service provider to introduce you to and get you started on the journey, right? And have you working with the experts who are going to make it, you know, kind of smooth sailing. And I think it would be great for more people to get involved in sort of the Unite Together movement. I think that's really cool because I think it's not just about disabilities, it's about everybody. And the more diverse this industry gets, statistics have proven time and time again that diverse organizations are more successful because you're cultivating a wider spectrum of ideas and talents and experience. So I hope that, you know, my hope is that we turn around, you know, a few years from now and we look at the print industry and we go, oh my God, look how it's changed. It used to be all old white dudes with no disabilities. And now we got a very diverse work population, and we're encouraging other people to get into this industry that we all love so much. And I think part of it also starts with the youth, right? So like with the Unite Together movement, we've already helped a number of schools set up screen print training programs. And this is not just folks with disabilities. This is underprivileged kids in inner cities going, hey, there's a career path for you in this industry. And we're going to help give you the tools to get there, right? And hopefully we start to see a more diverse ownership in this industry of the companies. But I think it also just starts as let's get more printers to come from all over the place. Yeah. So I think it's we are going in the right direction, and I think everybody's excited. And the more people that are doing what you guys do, which is hearing the message, championing the message, providing a platform for us to deliver the message. Anybody else wants me to come talk about this? I can talk about this until the cows come home. I think that this is, you can obviously tell that I'm passionate about it. And, yes. You know, this is what I hope to, the legacy I hope to leave in this industry is to really kind of help take it to the next level and be welcoming to everybody and be an opportunity for everybody to be successful in here.
Yeah. Well, Jed, not only are you passionate about it, but you're also inspiring. I'm sitting here like scribbling notes and like, okay, I got to do this, I got to do this, do this. So I'm ready to give me a brick wall. I'm ready to run through it. Let's do this.
I got one right here.
I see that.
Well, I have a question that we could fill a 2-part episode of the show with, but you built a large, successful decorating business. Do you have any tips for our listeners on how to grow their own businesses, how to make their own businesses more successful?
Sure. I love this question. I get asked this all the time on panels. I did a panel with Ross from Rock at Print United, and a bunch of other buddies on the panel as well. And it's always the first question that's asked, right? Because you got all these aspiring printers that want to grow their businesses, and I have the same answer every single time. It's do your math. All too often, people in this industry don't like to do math. You have to do math to ensure that you're going to be a profitable, successful organization. You can't just take a brochure from any of the equipment manufacturers, read that, and do the math based off of that. You actually need to get out. You need to talk to people. You need to understand what the real world math is, taking into account spoilage and all the different costs that are going to come along with running your business, so that you're not running out there going, oh my God, I'm just going to print money. And then you get to the end of the year and you're like, well, where did it all go? Right? So do your math and make sure that not only you do your math, but you back it up by finding other people that you could talk to, understand what real world application is, not just what they say in a vacuum it's going to be. Because I think that is the biggest challenge. I see printers that are so desperate for deals that they are taking deals that are literally slowly going to put them out of business because they're not profitable, but they're desperate to take a deal. And it's just, it's sad. So I think it's important that everybody does their math to run their business as a business, and doesn't kind of just shoot from the gut or find a sexy name if somebody wants to send a print work, but then they lose their shirt because of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a good gold nugget there, man. I love it.
Exactly right. I love that answer.
Yeah. And I get to work with normally newer startups myself personally in my business, and you've hit that dead on, right? They're just so desperate to get the work in that they find themselves in this place where they're so incredibly busy, yet they're not successful. And it's like, well, hold on. Right.
It's also detrimental to the whole industry, because then it becomes a race to the bottom, and people are trying to compete for work on a level that's unprofitable. Like it's bad business for them, and it's bad business for everybody else, and it sets the wrong precedent as well. So it's already not the biggest margin business in the world, right? So we got to be responsible with how we do our business, and if you do it right, it can be fantastic. And that's what I hope for people.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Jed, while we've got you here, we've got some other info we'd love to get from you here. But, obviously we've talked about how we keep seeing you out and about, and Printing United, obviously. And I saw you at Impressions there and in Fort Worth. And so what are you seeing as far as trends, innovations? What do you kind of see out on the horizon for us?
I mean, you got to be sleeping under a rock if you don't see that DTF is just kind of tearing through the industry. I think that a lot of people are sort of scared of it, excited about it. I think that there's a lot of misconceptions about it. For me, our business is both DTG and DTF. We've been doing DTF for a few years. I think we're a bit ahead of the game because we are very much so an R&D and engineering company. So we add hardware to our equipment. We source our own consumables. And I think that there's a room for DTF, screen print, and DTG. And it's just about finding the right solution based off the right, opportunity. And I think that, any of the naysayers of DTF are the same people that said when DTG came out, oh, it's never going to work. The hand feels too different from screen print. Well, here we are, right? I think the same thing is happening with DTF, but I also think we're very much so in our infant stages. So I think a lot of the equipment has a long way to go. But it is here to stay. We've done a lot of work to kind of re-engineer things, to do things with DTF that other folks can't do yet, creating a softer hand feel, creating it so that we could go over the seams of hats and do canvas backpacks and other things that a traditional transfer wouldn't work on, because it would peel and not have that sort of keep up that quality standard with the durability level. So I think that DTF is really the kind of the biggest thing going on in the industry right now. And but I think it's changing at light speed. So, what the equipment is today is going to be different than what it is 6 months from now, a year from now. And I think it's, our job is really just to continue to try to stay ahead of the curve and be on the forefront of what's next. But again, focusing on making sure that we're using the right mousetrap for the right opportunity. And outside of that, I think it was a great Print United trade show. I really enjoyed it. It was great seeing everybody there. I think the industry is definitely going in the right direction. I see a lot more collaboration and people coming together, and that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Yep.
I was doing a presentation in the apparel zone at Printing United last week, and DTF came up, and I said, "No, you guys all know DTF, right?" And they didn't really react. And then I said, "Did anybody walk 10 feet and not see a DTF printer?" Everyone's like, "Yeah, exactly. They were everywhere."
Yeah,
I love it.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, so Jed, when you're building a successful business, you're growing your business. Do you have any tips on balancing that growth and also maintaining those core values, that commitment to community that Steaks does?
Yeah, I mean, I think they can go hand in hand. I don't know that I think they can be exclusive of each other. I don't think one has to necessarily impact the other. I think as you grow, it creates more opportunities, right? I don't know that as many people would have given me the platform to speak about what we're doing had we not been sort of the size organization we are, making sort of the noise that we are. So I think the larger you get, the more of an opportunity you have, but also the more responsibility you have to know what you can accomplish. And I think, outside of how those two things correlate, in general, when you're growing your business, the big suggestion is just don't outkick your coverage, man. And really, don't take a deal because it looks sexy, but that you can't handle, and, grow responsibly, as opposed to just, a lot of businesses go out of business because they try to grow too fast or they get too aggressive. So just kind of be I'm not saying be conservative, because we're definitely aggressive, right? But just be responsible with your growth. And I think, and also know that I tell people all the time, being an entrepreneur and owning a business, I don't care what industry you're in, it's like being Rocky Balboa in a title fight. You're going to get your ass kicked every round. And it's just about having the grit to get back up, learn from the last round, and it's going to happen to you again and again, right? But if you make it to the end of the fight and you're still standing, the world's your oyster, and you can really, enjoy the fruits of your labor. But this is not easy for anybody, and it's not what industry you're in, because whatever can go wrong will go wrong. But know, with dedication and grit, you can get through it.
Yep. Wow. Just in that, like, one little round of statements there, Jed, there's so many like nuggets, quotables, like the don't outkick your coverage. I mean, we could just do this all day. I love it, Jed. So, all right, well then what's next for Steaks? What's on your guys' horizon there?
We're just like everybody else, man. We're trying to grow our business. I'm a believer in continuing to grow. And we're trying to continue to be better at what we do. I mean, there is no complacency. I think that no matter how good of reviews you get, no matter how much your partners love you, you can always be better. And it's always about kind of pushing that envelope to be higher quality, to be faster, to be better partners, to communicate more. I mean, it's always just challenging ourselves to never be satisfied, and always try to be better at what we're doing. And also for us, it's a lot about innovation. I mentioned it a couple of times. We are very much so an R&D and engineering company. So we're not just sitting back waiting for machine manufacturers to make updates. We're looking at how we could do them ourselves. We are looking to continue to automate through automation, robots, machine learning, artificial intelligence. I think if you're not looking at those things right now, then you're just setting yourself up to be, last in the race down the road. So we're really trying to embrace all of the technology that's out there to help streamline our business and help us grow even more efficiently. And and that's pretty exciting, because if you think, I mentioned how quickly DTF technology is changing as we speak. AI and robotics and machine learning, that stuff is changing at light speed right now. And it's incredible how many aspects of your business it can really reap benefits on. I think we've just hit the tip of the iceberg. People know ChatGPT and Midjourney, but that's just the tip of the iceberg of how that's going to completely flip this industry on its head and change the way things are done. And not just in this industry, pretty much every industry in the world is going to change. I think the changes that you're going to see over the next 10 years are going to be as quick and as fast and as incredible as when the internet came out. I mean, it's that big of an impact on the world, on every industry, and this industry is no different. It's going to have incredible effects, and we're already knee deep kind of working on what is that future for us, and how do we take advantage of all of these incredible things.
Awesome.
100%. And yes, I will agree. All hail Skynet. And but Jed, you've given us all kinds of nuggets on my junior legal pad here. As Aaron mentioned, I'll kick the coverage, do the math. But to wrap up, I'm going to ask you for one last piece of advice, one golden nugget that you can share on business or in life with our listeners. One piece of advice you want to share.
You know what? You put me on the spot, and right before the show, when Cassie was doing, we had our little pre-show, and I noticed that Cassie was wearing a T-shirt that had a slogan on it, and that slogan is the same slogan I have framed in my office, and I think it's the kind of the best advice I can give anybody. It's the advice I give my children, and it's work hard and be nice to people. It's really that simple. I think that. Hard work always wins, and contrary to popular belief, the nice guys actually do end up on top, right? The people that are doing good, you put good things out in the world, good things come back to you. So work hard, be nice to people is the best I can give you.
I love it. Yeah. Isn't that amazing how, the best things in life are extremely simple. They just can be a little bit challenging to execute because you have to be committed to working hard and being nice to people.
Life's chaotic, man. It's large. It's easy to lose track of things. But you keep those two things going, no matter what, you're going to end up just fine.
Yeah. Wonderful. Jed, thank you so much. This has been amazing as usual. And when you've got more news to report, you've got a spot here. So just let us know and we'll have you back, and we're going to have you back anyhow, but I'm excited to hear what you got in the works.
Awesome. Guys, thank you very much again for having me, always being so supportive and welcoming. We do have a rain check, though. I need a commitment that we're actually going to have this wings together, because every time I come on here and every time I see you, we talk about wings, but we haven't done it yet. So 100%. Next time I see you, we need to get some wings together, and I will surely be back on to let you guys know about what we have in store next and how we think we're going to really continue to impact the industry. Thank you guys for everything you do, and just being all around good humans. Appreciate you.
Awesome. Thanks, Jed.
Wings for sure.
Wings for absolute sure. Fantastic, man. I always love having Jed on, or not on the show, just chatting at events and things like that. He's a great guy, and a great story to tell.
Yeah, like Ramona said here, thanks for all you do. I think that he spreads the credit out around, but he's putting in the effort and doing the work, and just good human. Yeah. So always good to get good humans together. So, all right, Terry. Well, man, we've had a great show here, but speaking of great things and recognizing Reggie Awards, we're in nomination season right now. We've done pretty good. I think we've but we need some more nominations coming in. So if you go to tworegularguys.com/Reggies, you can nominate now. Jed would be available for an honor in multiple things there. So I don't actually push people, but maybe I do a little. So anyhow, check that out. And he would be available to get the best guest on the Two Regular Guys Award. So head over to tworegularguys.com/Reggies. Terry, you want to just hit the categories real quick just to share with people? And I know
absolutely. I won't go through the entire description, but the awards are the 2023 Fresh Impact Product Award for new products, the Customer Care Spotlight Award. We kind of renamed them this year to have a little more pizzazz and be a little more descriptive.
Customer service, though, right? Yeah, it's
the Industry Education Excellence Award. I like that.
Yeah.
The Decorators Hub Trade Show Award, the Rising Star Award, the 2023 Women's Voice Award, the Two Regular Guys Best Guest, or I'm sorry, Two Regular Guys Podcast Guest Star Award. I was reverting back to previous years.
Sorry.
And one of my favorites, the 2023 Industry Ambassador Award. So go out there and nominate. And as Aaron has mentioned before, we read every nomination on the intro show for the actual people that are going to be in the vote, but everybody that gets nominated gets mentioned. So get out there and get people nominated.
Yep. And we're kind of coming down. So basically a little less than 2 weeks left to get your nominations in. We will close the voting promptly at 5 p.m. Central Time on November 9th is the date that, and every year it happens. Somebody says, "Oh, I was late. Can you?" Nope. I've gotten 1,000 emails one year with people trying to get somebody on there that was late, and we said no to every single one of them. So
went out to their people and said, "Hey, I forgot to mention this. Email Aaron and let him know that we have another nomination." So don't be that person.
Yeah, exactly. So get them in November 9th. And, and if here's the other part, I guess we never really told people about, but you can technically change your nominations all the way up until the 9th. So just
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So you just put it in the form again, and that it'll basically write over what you did the last time, as far as if you put any new information in there. So, cool. So go and do that. Let's see here. What else? And then, so on the 10th, November 10th, we will be announcing all the nominees and the people who we will be getting to be voted on. And then that will kick off the voting that'll take place until the 7th of December. So love Reggie season, Terry. It's always a blast to kind of recognize the people that are doing the work.
And looking forward to meeting some new friends in the nomination process.
Yep, for sure. All right. Well, what do you have coming up here on the Terry's Big Book of Travel?
Yeah, my complete screen printing business course. I'll be at Workhorse Products in Phoenix, January 13th and 14th. My next Chicago class at Atlas Screen Supply will be March 9th and 10th. No snow. And I'll be in the Equipment Zone booth in the Long Beach Impressions Expo, January 19th through 21st. If you want to stop by and say hello, and all my upcoming events are at terrycombs.com. Aaron, how about yourself?
Well, first I have to just let you know, Terry, don't say no snow. Hope for sunshine. And then, because no snow is just going to bring you snow. I'm just telling you.
That's true. The
universe doesn't understand that word.
Positive,
yeah,
positive,
that's right.
Positive energy to the universe.
Yes. Beautiful sunny weather in March in Chicago. Okay. Or you can just say Phoenix weather, Glendale weather, and
yeah.
Okay.
Picture Terry in a light jacket going over to Atlas.
There you go. All right. Sorry about that. So, for me coming up here, I just want to keep sharing that we're doing OSG Live each week. It's a collaboration with Tanya Deutscher, my wife, Eileen Montgomery, and Becky Kotzer and myself. And we've had 5 episodes now, and just really getting a lot of great feedback. And so we do things like explore the power of gratitude. We celebrate wins, and we just have some different segments. And so it's been really fun going, and it is nice and early. It's 7:00 Central Time on Wednesday morning, but you can just go to Live OSG and you can catch the replay. And so we will be back this next Wednesday morning at 7 a.m. Central Time. And but get in there, watch anytime, get in the comments. We're always encouraging the listeners to participate. What are you grateful for? What are you committed to? How are you impacting this? And so just do that in the comments after the fact too. So liveosg.com to check that out. And then also, my book is out there, and then you can get a pre-order copy. I am super close. Dane is helping me with the book cover, and that's about what I've got left on the list almost. So I've got to go through one more time and do my own personal edit, but we're heading to the publisher soon here. So FBS book is where you'll get. So oursuccessgroup.com/FBS book. And then one other cool thing that came up here. I don't know if you guys remember Lauren Kilgore from Handmade Sellers University. She was on our show not too terribly long ago. Right. And she talked about Etsy secrets, and she's got some great training over there about Etsy. But her and I have collaborated on a new mastermind community. And so I get to work together with her on that. And just an opportunity to kind of in her group, but just in general, right? If you're looking for a community that might be right for you. So it's a mastermind program where we get together every 2 weeks, and you get to share some knowledge, receive advice, and just transform their handmade passion into a thriving online business. And that's my favorite line on her site about this program, to transform their handmade passion into a thriving online business. So that's what we're going to do. It's not us talking at you, it's working with you to achieve the results that you desire. So the cohorts are now forming. We're going to have our first meeting on October 31st, and I may be dressed up for Halloween. So it'll be fun, a way to kick things off. But go to osg.link/HMSS. And I just on a personal note, I'm just really proud and grateful to be able to be living my passion, this masterminding and inspiring proactive small business owners. So I want to thank Lauren for entrusting me to be part of that, and Addie with the Radical Goal Getters program, another thing that we do, and then all of the Masters of Success community folks that are part of what we do at our success group. So just grateful. And if anybody wants to reach out to me and talk about how we could work together, or just need some support or a shoulder to lean on, consultaaron.com is easy way to reach me. So
awesome.
Yeah. And then as far as Eric goes, what's he got coming up here before after the secret sauce? How about
that? All right. He's got the take up is episode 172, office hours, gradients, and underlay. In this episode, Eric is following up on some questions and answers from his last episode with a quick tour through digitizing those sunsets we all love and keeping our top stitching clean and high coverage with underlay. So join Eric live at 2:30 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. And let's see here. I've got words covered up. To ask questions and share, head to ericcampbell.com and click the Take Up tab at the top at the top and join in. Eric will be teaching at Impressions Expo also in Long Beach. Details coming up very soon.
Yes, indeed. All right. We'll check that out. And so without further ado, should we get Eric in here? I'll see if I can push these buttons correctly, Eric. But well, you ready, Terry? Can we get Eric in here?
I'm ready. Let's have some sauce.
Yes.
All right, folks, happy to be back in to get you on with the secret sauce. And today we have something that is near and dear to my heart and should be near and dear to everybody's heart who's doing any kind of decorating. What can we do with dead stock? Frankly, there's no kind of decorating that doesn't produce some dead stock, whether that's sampled dead stock or some stuff that just didn't sell that's blank and sitting in your inventory. And as I often tell people, I give people permission, because they sometimes feel like they need it, to have errors in dead stock, as I am the patron saint of lost embroidery jobs. If I've messed up more stuff than you've messed up, don't feel bad. The thing is, we don't have to feel bad, because we can actually do some stuff with that stock as we go. So the first thing we're going to talk about is sampling. As anyone who's heard me talk about digitizing will know, I always advocate testing your new designs, your new techniques on the same kind of material and stabilizer you're going to be using for the final order. Rejects, dead stock, stuff that's already decorated can be cut into sample swatches ready for testing. And I'll tell you, in our shop, we had them separated by fabric type and color, literally on the shelf. So we had the right color contrast, the right fabric type, ready to use for sampling on the kind of stuff that we were trying to get done. So everybody says, oh, you're going to ruin a garment every time you sample stuff. No, you're going to ruin a garment before that. And so you want to keep that and stitch on every available option. We can have that stuff ready for us with dead stock. Second thing is employee apparel. If you've got something that, depending on that garment, if you've got something that is not incredibly damaged, but does have a logo on it that does have some small amount of damage, you may be able to use those garments to create employee apparel. Frankly, lots of our employees want to grab those rejects, grab those dead stock pieces, those orders that don't get sold. What we used to do is say, hey, yeah, you can have that piece, but we're going to make a cover-up patch or a decoration with the shop logo, and then you can take that out of the building, and that lets us have it be not only something that helps the employees to have some pride in their shop, but lets them advertise for the shop as well. For any willing worker who will wear the garment like that, wearing that logo is a great way to open conversations about what their shop can do. So like I said, even with pre-decorated garments, you can either remove existing embroidery or use patch or applique style designs to create that logoed apparel to promote your shop. And if it's just something that's on the shelf that is non-decorated, even easier. Another thing we can do, promotional giveaways. Now, this one's a little bit hard because admittedly, sometimes when you do promotional giveaways, especially if you're doing something like including something for a customer to show, yes, I can do something with stock. If the stock you have is something you can't order again, that kind of dead stock might not be the best case for putting something in with a order for a shop. However, if you're doing something that has your logo on it, oftentimes that's something you can use stock like that to decorate. So a loyalty reward packed into an existing customer's orders, maybe a prospective giveaway decorate with the logo of the customer or a customer you want to open up relations. Sometimes it can work. Just be careful that if it's something like you give them this great specialty hat that has some sort of special function or color blocking and it can't be purchased again, that might not be the best idea for that, but it can be great as a logoed item from your shop that is just fun to give away. And especially if it's something that you can still procure later down the road, because sometimes otherwise you're opening up somebody wanting something that's not available. But promotional pieces, it can be a great way to handle just showing someone, hey, yes, I do a different kind of garment or a different kind of style that you may have seen. And on that note, another thing is technique showcases. If you have a customer facing space or you share on social media, use dead stock, blank stock, stuff that you can't get necessarily. That's fine as something that you can use for a project piece. So if you're doing a kind of technique showcase, you're doing something that is interesting, you want to show new techniques, show new ways that you can work, dead stock can be great for that. Plus, you can sometimes decorate in areas away from an existing decoration. If you're just taking pictures on social media, you're just doing video and you've got a left chest that you don't want to mess with, but you're about to show a back technique, show that back technique on that piece that already has the decorated shirt, that already has that left chest on it, and just don't show the front. Placements that aren't involved with previous decoration can still be a great display, even a display you put up in your shop if you have to. Trying to sell rhinestones, make a rhinestone shirt. Trying to sell your new direct transfer technologies, show that direct transfer technology in the real world. Snap and share some pics, set up a display in your space, make up sample pricing guides, and go for it. But yeah, that, my friends, is the secret sauce.
Wow, that was
I'm loving
delicious.
these secret sauce segments.
Yep,
That was a good one.
Yeah, really good one, and super proud of. I know both you and Eric are still kind of dealing with a little bit of the coughing, and he did that entire thing without skipping a beat. So big.
I had to get up and walk away at the show last week live. I just
Yeah,
couldn't
you
stop
were.
coughing.
I'm like, hey, you're like, no, I can't. I'm like, oh, sorry, dude, I didn't even know. Oh man,
I'm fighting the fight.
Yeah, but what
And
a
I
good
know
secret sauce.
Eric is
And
as well.
Ramona had a point in there. She said to Eric, so I have a demo I'm going to do and I didn't have a sweatshirt. So guess what happened? I forgot to clear the hoop on a sweatshirt. Problem solved. Good stuff. And Sheila Ryan shared good sauce. Delicious. All right. Well, wow. Terry, what a great show today. Super excited to have had that time with Jed, and we want to thank him for being here and for all that he does, and make sure that you reach out to him and give him a thank you and ask how you might be able to participate. He mentioned Unite Together and things like that, and I know Eric put that up there on screen earlier as far as the link and stuff like that. But reach out to us too if for whatever reason you just need connections or want to know something. Good stuff there. So great show today, Terry. Thanks to Jed very much.
Absolutely. And we want to thank Eric Campbell for bringing the sauce, for not hitting the mute button during the dad joke, and keeping those production wheels turning here on the podcast.
As usual, coming through for us. And I'm sure he just has his finger over that mute button all the time, but he shows restraint. So we appreciate that. So Terry, next week, we've got our good friend and former employer for both of us, Scott Fresner, joining us. And I almost kind of look at Scott as a little bit like a mentor for me. And he's going to be joining us, and we're going to hop in the old time machine, not time travel, though, for those of you that are familiar with time travel. This is time machine, a little bit different, and go back to the days of the book, How to Print T-Shirts for Fun and Profit, fast films, color separation software, and even into the U.S. screen printing classes and the invention of one of the first DTG printers, the T-Jet. So gloves will be coming off. We'll be having a lot of fun, and always fun to talk to Scott.
Really, really looking forward to that show. But until then, I'm Terry Combs. He's Aaron Montgomery.
And that was the two regular guys.
Here we go. We're out.
Awesome.
Thank you for listening to Two Regular Guys. Check out our website at tworegularguys.com. That's the number 2, regularguys.com. You can also interact with us over at our Facebook page, facebook.com/tworegularguys, or send us a tweet, twitter.com/tworegularguys. And we have a YouTube page. You can find all that from our website, tworegularguys.com. Thanks for tuning in, and we look forward to spending some time with you again next week.